Yeah, two big takeaways. The GB200 RAM continues to be stronger than we expected or people anticipated. We believe, based on our math, the GB200 came in 3 billion above expectations, both in 1Q and fiscal 2Q, which is what helped them beat the numbers despite the significant China headwind, which was 8 billion for 2Q. The second key point was if you take out the China write down, gross margin actually came in better than anticipated, again suggesting that GB200 yields and cost optimization are running better than anticipated. And we now expect margins to continue to rise through the year, exiting year at mid 70%, which we believe was the very key, a lot of key important factor for the long-term investors in the company.
Yeah, that's what you were mentioning yesterday, that making sure that that Nvidia can deliver the mid 70s for margins at the end of the year. So what are your outstanding concerns / questions when it comes to Nvidia?
Well, the number one is we really hope to hear the new China variant and get clarity on it, which didn't happen. There have been some rumors flying around that that might soon happen, both from Nvidia and AMD. But as we would like to get it officially, the specs, what kind of ASPs and what sort of applications it will be targeting to, as soon as possible to put those concerns at bed. The other key thing which right now they did. Help reduce the risk, which is slow down from the hyperscalers and cloud. We don't see that risk, but as we get into fiscal 4Q with the August timeframe, this is when hyperscalers and clouds really think about their capex budgets for next year. That will be another key milestone for them.
The revenue it gets from China, I don't know, 15%, 20%, I'm not sure what it is. I know it's been declining. Could that go to zero? And if so, can the stock still work if that were to go to zero?
So at this point, the revenue from China within data center is almost zero, right? And there is no estimates don't include anything back from that for at least for this year. So that's almost gone to zero. There is definitely China revenues coming from their gaming segment and their auto segment, but the data center, which is the real meat of it, which was they were expected to sell about 15 billion of it just this year from the H20, which has almost gone to zero. So until the new compliant chip does not come out and they start selling, it's essentially down to zero right now.
We were talking earlier to Mandeep about how important Middle Eastern clients were to Nvidia, for example, and the kind of capex that they're spending. What other growth areas or regions do you think are going to really start delivering?
Yeah, so a couple of key regions we are keeping an eye out. Just like you mentioned, Middle East, there are a lot of sovereign entities. So just don't think of Middle East, think of like India, Japan, and a lot of other countries, because right now having self-regional AI models, having regional AI localized data centers is national priority for a lot of emerging and big countries. So all of these regions have already announced planned and big budgets based on their respective GDPs to spend on. So Nvidia will be a big beneficiary of that. The Middle East is just a key example. Like I said, you have other regions, especially India and Japan, investing heavily here as well. The second key driver outside of the top four CSPs are going to be the enterprises now. One big example is XAI. They have announced significant big projects. The other second example is the Stargate project. So we anticipate a lot more such projects at the enterprise level coming in, where they will start to pitch in to robust billions of dollars of growth for Nvidia.
Kunjan, what's the competitive landscape these days? Nvidia versus who?
Yes, the answer to that is yes.
But just for theoretical purposes, the second biggest competitor in the GPU landscape is AMD. But the bigger threat to us is the ASIC providers like the Broadcoms and Marvell, because when you look at the TAM sizing, right now the AMD's market is what the revenue they're generating is still significantly small, versus the ASIC market is expected to grow faster. And that they are not a direct competitor, that you don't replace out an Nvidia GPU, that they are not a merchant GPU, but they still take away the wallet share at the same large customers. So they could start deploying their own ASICs and not rely as much on the Nvidia GPUs. That's a long-term risk.